So, if I understood you correctly, you were saying you're going to actually listen to and give the people you represent a voice. Did I hear you correctly? That you're going to give them a voice in the decisions you make. You're going to listen. I want to make sure I'm kind of
Yeah,
foggy there. Let me make sure I understand.
yeah. That's audacity, right? That's audacity.
You, a representative of the people, are actually going to listen to the people and give them the opportunity for input, and then you make decisions based on the input from the community that you serve. So, Slater, tell me what inspired you to turn to run for office and why now?
My inspiration to run for office is simply the fact that the majority of this district looks just like me. Growing up as a young adult with a single mother that was a victim to drug addiction of the 80s, so on and so forth, from pillar to post, multiple schools in 1 year, facing challenges and problems, eventually being just as impacted, but also having the wherewithal to evolve due to my faith to be a success story. It is pivotal to me to pass that experience forward for those young men and women that is facing the same challenges as I had when I was young, but to also show them a cheat code on how to obtain success, even dealing with all of the challenges and some that I fight for, that I fight against even until this day. Whereas I could run for Congress, but I can't get an apartment in my name. I can own two multi-million dollar restaurants, but I can't get an apartment in my name. I can run for Congress, but I can't get a small business loan. So these type of disparities and issues that hold people back that is worthy of a second chance is filled in this community. And not only that, even our small business owners and some of our individuals that just need proper leadership and direction and a sense of community. I not only talk about the issues of District 18, I have lived them. So it's important for me to go back to a community that I can represent because I relate to them. That's what's mostly important.
That's an interesting thing because I know this weekend, we are going out and we're going to visit some of the prisons to provide hope, inspiration, mental health support, and
Right.
encourage individuals that are currently in prison. But I find it pretty overwhelming as I've been working in this process for the last couple of years, how disadvantaged. I mean, to me, that's probably the most disadvantaged population of people in the community. When they're released, many of them don't have anywhere to go. They're given very few resources. They can't apply for a job. I have a buddy that's been out over 25 years, and every now and then he goes and applies for a job at Walmart. Can't get a job at Walmart. And this is a person who's an excellent father, great business person, done very, very well in spite of those situations. So I hope at some point, whether within your administration or in a future administration, that they start to address those issues because I mean, not being able to get a place to live, not being able to get a job, don't have anywhere to stay. I mean, I mean, you help people navigate that process, but it just blows me away
Yeah.
that a person pays their dues,
Mhm.
at least in our communities.
Right.
They pay their dues, but they tie your hand behind your back and say, okay, you're gonna do this
Absolutely.
in a situation where you have nowhere to live, no resources, can't get a job. And what I've even found out, many times they get out, they don't even have the proper ID anymore. They don't have an
Right.
ID or their social security card or their driver's license. They don't even have the basic things to even apply for a job.
The
How
basic,
how do we
the
address
base,
that?
yeah, the basic needs, and it is a system that is not truly set up for the success. We call the prison system, the sole point of it is for rehabilitation, and the program and the resources that's within those walls actually does the opposite. And it kind of begs you to ask, if this institution is designed to rehabilitate and the parole board allows an individual out because they deem that him or her is rehabilitated, then why are there so many guardrails and stipulations for the slightest instance they can instantly be pulled back? Or if a law changes. So it's a continuation of control over a certain block that is never truly designed to let you go and truly be free. And that is a problem. And so, what's important to me, having gone through that process, is that working with the late Sheila Jackson Lee in some conversations, we actually have not only an idea, but a full fledged plan called the Recidivism Act. And we talk about criminal justice reform, bail reform, and that is so, perspective based. We want to talk about after you've done your time, how do we keep the invoices from coming continuously?
Got it.
And so, in the Recidivism Act, there are some programs in Texas and in the workforce and some other areas around the country, but it's basically like an insurance program, just like in the field that you're in. And basically, it gives an individual that comes out to opt in to a federalized insurance bond program that he or her pays a small monthly premium. And what it does is it enshrines discriminatory practice against an employer or housing that they cannot prohibit housing or a job to that individual. And by taking a chance on that individual, if something was to happen, then that entity could file a claim for compensation. Because if your excuse is not to give someone a housing or a job because of their record and you're fearing, damages and losses, well, let's get that off the table. We have an insurance program to insure. And what we're finding is that individuals that are just given the chances to flourish, to use the tools that the institution have taught them, to give them a chance to show society what they have learned, we have to set up the playing field. We have to set up the racetrack. We can't tie them down with weights on their ankles and expect them to win the game or to contribute to our team in society. Who goes to a football, pick a football player on your team that has all of these things that weighs them down? You don't want them on your team. They're not going to win a game for you. So why are we doing it to our own fellow citizens? And so we want to address the recidivism problem and set individuals up for success so that invoices can stop coming on the debt that they have paid already to society.
Get it? Makes total sense. So let me ask you this. What are your top priority for District 18, and how do you plan to achieve it in your first year?
My top priority for District 18 is number one, to redefine what representation means. And we want to set a model for the rest of the country to follow. We've just recently released our first initiative called a Federal Community Advisory Board. And what that means is that this seat will have an advisory board of 21 members, and it will consist of precinct chairs, faith based leaders, community leaders, advocacy fighters, so on and so forth, that the community also nominates and votes for. And this advisory board will also have subcommittees, a finance committee that will oversee and track the allocation of federal funds to the district, not only to make sure that the individuals and organizations that's getting these grants, that every single dollar is spent where it is intended to go to. So we will create a system that's trackable, traceable, and transparent. That is putting the power back into the hands of the community. And the best part about this board is that I, as a representative that represent 800,000 people, it is not fair that a representative goes to Washington, D.C. and speaks on his or her behalf with little to no education and input from the people that they serve. So the bylaws of this board, as a businessman, you create a board, is to, before I cast a vote in Washington, D.C., it is my job to come back to this community board, explain the issue at hand and the options, allow a certain amount of time for that board to go to the people, get feedback and consensus. They come back and that board votes. Whatever that board votes for the majority, then that shall be my vote that I cast in Washington, D.C. This representative seat is an advocate and a representative. So I take the voice and the collective consensus of the board, and that's what I vote on. So that's my top priority, is to restore power back to the community, to restore prosperity, an economic self-sustaining system, to increase access and awareness to healthcare and mental health, to bring forth issues such as like the Recidivism Act. We're the only Democrat in this country right now that has taken a bold step, that have co-sponsored and have written to expand a tax cut plan. A Democrat has not proposed a tax cut plan in over 40 years. We have partnered with the FSIC, a think tank group out of Washington, D.C., and a sitting U.S. representative right now on a tax plan called the All-American Tax Plan. We have taken that plan that's on the floor in the House right now, that's stuck in subcommittee, and added some amendments to further the value to individuals that represent, that looks like the individuals in our district, and we're running on that plan. And so we look forward to explaining that to the American people. So prosperity plan for District 18 is our top priority. We're ready to go on day one. We have been in Washington, D.C. a total of 4 times since we've announced. We have partners on the ground. We have organizations that's ready to go. We have walked the halls. We know where every mechanism is at, and everybody is waiting for us to get this work done. We just need to get elected.
So if I understood you correctly, you were saying you're going to actually listen to and give the people you represent a voice. Did I hear you correctly? That you're going to give them a voice in the decisions you make. You're going to listen. I want to make sure kind of
Yeah,
foggy. Let me make sure I understand.
yeah. That's audacity, right? That's audacity.
You, a representative of the people, are actually going to listen to the people and give them the opportunity for input, and then you make decisions based on the input from the community that you serve.
But and take it a step further, not just input, they get to vote. I may have an opinion one way, but if the majority of that board votes another way, then I'll vote where the board goes, not by my own self. It is my job to advocate, get the information,
And
bring
you
it back.
talking about a coup. You talking about a coup. I mean,
That's why.
nobody in there are very few people.
Yeah,
I don't even know if you have a Democrat support having to be responsible to
yeah.
the people they represent. That's a major change
It's
in thinking. I mean, that's
Yeah, it's innovative. And it's hard that once we retire from the seat, because I am self-describing myself to no more than 3 terms, because I believe in term limits. That's a presidency and a
I was
half, if
gonna
you
ask
will.
you. I was gonna ask you about that, but I
Yeah, 3 terms. But to go further, also, I'm subjecting myself yearly to a vote of confidence, right? And so every single year, I want the community to place a vote on my success. And if the majority of the community feel that I'm not doing a good job and I shouldn't run for reelection, guess what? I'm bound by my bylaws with this board not to run again. So
so
we want to disrupt the system and what representation means. So individuals after me and us that's in this seat, they're beholden to a new way of what represent. We shouldn't have to fight our own elected leaders to be led properly. That is the goal and purpose why I want to run for this seat, is to disrupt and rebrand what representation truly means. I think we could be a model, and I think the rest of the world is going to follow. Everyone is going to be looking. We just announced this FCAB board last week. We're about to try to go national. I think the New Yorker is picking it up in MSNBC, and we're running on this model. And hopefully, if we fall short of this seat, whomever wins, they pick up the model and run with it. Because that's what's more important than an individual candidacy.
well, my hope in that is if by chance you don't win, that whomever wins choose to meet with you and make you a part of their organization, what they're trying to do, because you have some great ideas. But I'm gonna give you a little bit of pushback. Okay. The pushback here is, how do you manage that process? How do you manage a process of collecting feedback or a vote from the population? Because one of the projects we are working on with the World Youth Foundation is to address the healthcare disparities within our community. I'm actually the person that is focusing on what we consider to be District 18 and trying to bring about a bridge between the youth and seniors.
Right.
And what we're using to do that is technology. Reason being because being an insurance broker, I don't consider myself to be an insurance broker, a healthcare advocate. I do more fighting for seniors than I do enrolling. Is a lot of the things that's going on with healthcare now is heavy on technology. And it's creating a lot of problems for our seniors in being able to, one, respond to text messages, get into an open email. They forget the password. I mean, social media, there would be so many more seniors on social media, including myself. I'm officially a senior. I'm 56 years young. The freaking passwords, the authentication, them being able to create their portals online,
Right.
send text, take a picture of something and send it, because this actually goes on. Being able to use, because those insurance companies, particularly on the Medicare side, that provides transportation, bro, I cannot tell you, sir, how many situations I've been so angry about because they coordinated the pickup for the senior, and now the senior is physically outside where the hot, cold, or rainy, trying to get back home because they can't figure out how to use the app, and no one is answering the phone to pick them up to take them back home. I've literally been in Pearland, Texas, had to drive all the way to the north, to Methodist on the north side of town to pick up a client and take them home. Cold, rainy, not to mention the fact that she had major issues with her heart. The whole reason she was there because of
Right.
those issues. So how do you bring into a place a form of technology that's going to allow those individuals to vote? Because we have issues with our voting systems now. How do you get that feedback?
Great question. My biggest thing in life, especially as a businessman and working with people and training and leading them, you have to meet people where they are and take your innovation to them versus trying to get them to your innovation. That's the problem with society. And what that looks like is right now we're developing in beta form a Congressional District 18 mobile app. And this app is when you tie on, it not only creates a community of information that's going on around in the district, it also has tabs so you can look at jobs that's available. It has tabs for small businesses to promote their goods and services. It has resources, direct contact information of what you need to, if you need something, where you get help from. It has a hotline on there in case you need help. 411 and white pages is this. People only have Google, and a lot of our seniors and elders don't know how to access that, or they don't trust it. So we need to provide a system of services where you can actually talk to a human that's manned by volunteers and young college students that want to pay off their college debt, to be a service to help some of our elders. It's called Civic Synergy. Most importantly, also a part of this app is danger zones. We are prone to natural disasters. So if there's a flood or a hurricane in Acres Home and there's flooding, our elders need to know where these hot spots are. Or if you are in distress and need help, and after you call 911 on this app, you can put out an SOS message so our community emergency response teams know where you are or know that you're safe. And so it's all about bringing everybody into a digitized community that's simplified, not technology that's made from someone that don't understand our sensitivity of our
Very easy, very big buttons, very
yeah,
easy.
very easy and simplified, and that they can adhere to. Number two, we need to create a network that specifically targets a social media network that specifically targets our elders. Let's be honest, Q. Like my mother, my grandmother, they got more time than anybody else sit down and watch stories all day or watch a good talk show. The Price is Right. Imagine creating entertainment that educates our seniors and get their attention. Imagine sitting down like this here and talking to them, or creating, you know how we had a Pee Wee Herman as a kid for the kids, not said for the adults, but an entertainment, a game show, if you will, an activity, if you will, for our elders. It seems so far fetched, but those simple things is what they connect to. I'm trying to design an activity book right now for our elders, so when I visit homes, I can leave them with something, crossword puzzles. But these crossword puzzles and these Sudokus and things that they do is educating them at the same time about these issues we're talking about. So it's about innovation, slowing down, and getting the technology to them versus trying to get them up to the technology and expecting that they understand and nobody's communicating or teaching them about this awareness. But we have to figure this out, and we have to be the leaders in doing so. And I tend to do just that.
So I totally agree with you 100%. So one of the things we have here, we're at 507 North Sam Houston Tones Way, which is basically known as the Greenspoint area. I intentionally moved back to this area. I was downtown, still have the office downtown in the Woodlands in different places, but I wanted to sit in the area where I felt like it was really needed a lot of support. And one of the things we've done here is that we have a senior technology center. It's called Simple Choice Tech Connect. But we have a full room here that's already has computers, so like almost like a mini training center. It already has computers, monitors, that as we move forward, as we're working with the World Youth Foundation, which is an organization that was heavily supported by Sheila Jackson Lee, Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, and Mayor Turner, to bring together our youth and our seniors. And we're addressing some of those basic things. We're going to have a guest on in a few weeks that has an app that we are looking that's already developed that we're going to talk about. And it's really designed more so for those who early stage dementia,
Mm.
Alzheimer's, those that are dealing with depression and loneliness, because we are in the field all the time. Now, it was one of the things I was worried about my father, is that in our communities, once a parent loses their spouse, particularly the men, they typically don't last very long unless they engage with something or someone very, very quickly. The women tend to do a little bit better because they're able to engage with their children and friends and so forth. But a man is going through a different scenario, and the reason I'm bringing it up, the next time I have you on, I want to talk specifically more about some of the health situations.
Mhm.
Have you ever seen the mortality rate or the mortality tables for District 18?
No.
Some of the lowest in the country. Lowest in the country. You have places like Acres Homes and Fifth Ward and Cashmere and some other places where the zip in Texas, particularly Houston area, your zip code determines your life expectancy. And think about having rated life insurance or car insurance or those type of things. There's several places that you have the average lifespan in Houston In District 18, the average life expectancy is 65, 66 years old. Most of the areas, and I'm gonna pull up the data, I'm gonna send it to you, but most of the areas in the District 18, many of those areas have a life expectancy, particularly for a male that's under 70. That's
Wow.
under 70, where you have some areas that are on the northwest side,
Right.
looking more at the 80s. Some of the centralized areas closer to like say River Oaks, those areas is that it almost aligns with education and wealth, financial stability. So it seems to be that those areas that have a little bit higher education as a group, zip codes that is, with a higher income, they tend to live longer. Now we can dig into, not now, but there's many reasons that may fall into that. But my question to you is this. I'm hearing your plan. The public are hearing your plan. My question is this: where is the church in this process? Because I don't hear the church saying anything. Out of all the things that's happening in our community, both black and brown, and I'm one, people know me. I love people, period. I mean, I do missionary work in from Mexico to China. I've been a lot of different places showing support. So I'm always trying to help people, regardless of their culture or ethnicity. I just love people. But our church, it seems like, where's our leadership from a spiritual perspective, where there's communication, giving direction or support or thoughts around, how do we implement a plan for our community to address the issues that we're facing, particularly when it comes to our seniors and our children. Because when it comes down to Medicaid, right? Medicaid, and that was going to be my answer for, you talked about volunteers being able to be face to face, based upon the law that was passed, the big beautiful bill. I'm sorry, the big beautiful lie. When those work requirements come in, volunteering is a component of that. So, based upon certain categories of people will have to volunteer or work for 80 hours a month. There's a huge opportunities for us to start planning for, to utilize those people, particularly in the churches, particularly in nonprofits, and in situations that provide them with education. But how do you bring the churches into this? Because to me, there's no, I hear crickets. I don't hear any feedback from the churches. So clearly, how does your plan, or how could your plan include support from the churches? Because from what I'm experiencing, the churches are not really involved politically for us to impact these issues.
Yes. It is unfortunate, and I speak as a faith-based man, that the principalities that we are facing are winning in our churches. Back in the civil rights movement, community leaders and our preachers and ministers were the leaders that directed policy. Civil rights movement forced the laws to change, and these was community leaders, Martin Luther King, even Brother Malcolm, so on and so forth, and so many others. That's not the same these days. Politicians, special interests, corporations run the church now. And unfortunately, a lot of our churches have become corporations. Some churches have super PACs. It's a business now, and it's not in the business of the people. And that is extremely unfortunate. However, your smaller churches that are true and most important and vital to the community are not receiving those federal funds and those grants like the bigger monopoly, the churches that monopolizes the community. And so these churches are coming out of pocket. They're right now the life support to a lot of the people that we serve. And the reason why they're not tapped in is because the only time they see a politician is when it's time to vote. That's the only time that they matter. And so they're turned off by the whole process, and they're very protective because the flock that they serve, they don't want to be sold. And so the politics of the church is that what we must do and what I shall do and will do is to work with churches starting from the bottom up instead of the top down. Respectfully, Wheeler Avenue, these mega churches, they don't need me in representation. It's the little small ones. It's small ones that our elders go to,
Right.
that they serve a community that don't have an income that can support their tithes, but they're getting by. But what we have to look at is the tax exemption system. The IRS has just passed a rule where churches can now endorse a candidate. That could be good or it could be bad. That rule was actually designed because of the Texas voucher system that is now in place that is going to benefit so many churches, including our black churches. I'm the only candidate that's bold enough to say it. That's why we have so many people, crickets. The black churches is about to reap the most with these benefits, with these vouchers. Every church is about to have a school, allegedly, or a daycare, some type of system where they're getting $10,000 per person, and the people that they serve is not going to be to benefit from.
So, Slade, let me ask you this: what could the churches be doing now to help you with your initiatives, or what should they be doing to help prepare their congregations for the laws that have already been passed?
Great question. Look, Quentin, I believe that in the idea of separation of church and state, it was meant to keep the government out of churches, but never keep the church out of government. I believe that the community leaders and the churches shouldn't have a seat at the table, that we build a foundation off of their table. And so I invite all community leaders, they're needed right now. What is destroyed, as Revelation says in the Bible, we are the genesis of transformation. All these things are going to be made anew and reconstructed. Education wasn't built for our likeness in the first place. So we have an opportunity to rebuild these things once we're empowered, but you have to bring people with you to Washington, D.C. And so I want to bring our leaders and our church leaders to the table. They need to be in the process, in the decision-making process, because the information that they hear and learn and contribute to at that table, they're the direct line to the community. They're the direct line to the constituency that we serve. And so on this board, the Federal Commission Advisory Board, there'll be faith-based relationship, and not just in Christianity. Representation of all faiths, genders, and races. We have to be diverse. That is what all of our faith is tied in, is to community. But you need faith-based leaders and our churches to be at the forefront like that, just like our civil rights movement and just like in the past. Unity could bring down any system, but it has to be done on faith and morals and get our values back above our views versus our views over our values. So I need the churches to step forth and to speak up and to be advocates for some of the laws that's happening right now. It's not necessarily politicized. We are fighting for our lives. The community, our elders are being attacked. Our children are being attacked. Our benefits are being ripped away. We need our leaders, our most trusted leaders, which is the individuals standing behind the pulpit, to be a voice to these matters in a non-political way. But we need them to step up, and we need to work with them. And I want to work with them and learn and contribute, not just seeking a vote. Because win, lose, or draw, we just need leadership and synergy to partner with our leaders, and I'm offering up myself to do so.
So, I've never been engaged in politics before. I've observed and I've watched things take place, go through a process, talk to my daughter, always talk to my parents about the decision that we're going to make. Sometimes the house is divided amongst my parents. But me personally, I have never engaged in politics now, and I still don't consider myself to be engaging in politics in this process. But I just feel, though, how can I, as and my culture being significantly impacted negatively by what's going on, not do anything? Many of my clients live in District 18. I eat most days in District 18. I sleep just outside of District 18. I'm not positive. I'm in the downtown area, so it may be a part of District 18. I didn't even know that I actually worked in District 18 until I met Mr. Slater, who began to share with me more about my responsibility. Every person that lives within District 18 has a responsibility to become more aware. One of the things I really want to do is important to me, and I was speaking with the leader of the World Youth Foundation, as well as some pastors about. I really want to see if we can create something within the schools where we have the candidates, we do a live stream and have the candidates share a few points about their perspective, but more importantly, have the children express what they're concerned about, help them understand the process. Because a part of what's happened is that we have really gotten complacent. I would say Generation X, those that are right behind us, we've gotten complacent and we're not really involved. We've been so focused on, making money, having certain things that we're not focused on it. So one of the things I think is extremely important is that we take a responsibility to start connecting with our youth and changing their mindset and helping them get involved. No one talked to me as a kid about politics. No one talked to me about how that impacts. No one talked to me about the value of our vote. So that's why I say when it comes back, I'm a strong, strong believer that our small businesses and our churches must unite. And it doesn't matter what your culture is. It doesn't matter what the ethnicity is. It doesn't even matter what your language is. It's important that we start to focus on building strong communities. And then for that to happen, it requires all people. Because when it's not going well for one community, guess what? That has a negative impact on you directly or indirectly. So I encourage you to get involved. Talk with your children about the different candidates and what they represent. Help them understand how to analyze and know when it's time to vote. At least know the names on the ballot, at least for your district, so we can start set a foundation for them to make an educated decision versus going on name recognition. And with that, I'll offer my question to Mr. Slater. And that question is specifically around what can the small business person do to, first of all, support you or just support our cause, period. How should the small businessman be engaging? And what does the recent laws passed, if you're familiar with it, what kind of impact that's going to have on us in District 18?
It's going to have a huge burden on the district. Small businesses is the backbone of our country, but they don't reap the benefits as the top 1% in big corporations. And so you have corporations that's making major profits, but the people that work on them are suffering and fighting and lack benefits. So you have that gap. So to the small business side of it, if we hit another recession or another economic crisis, our small businesses are going to suffer the most because the communities that you are in or the staff that work for you, guess what? If your sales are struggling, now you can't pay or hire, and so now your community around you doesn't have great jobs or don't have the income, so your profits are going to shrink. All of this is connected and synergized. The good thing that I like to say that I'll offer and bring to the table as a representative, as a businessman, I understand what a P&L is. I understand what marketing is. I understand how hard it is to own a business because your success depends on the product that you sell and that you stand behind. But guess what? I operate the same way as a U.S. representative. As a lawyer, I can win or lose a case and still go home and have dinner with my wife and my kids, right? As a businessman, if I don't succeed, I don't have dinner on the table. And I know you know what I'm talking about. So as small businesses, even as a representative, not just on federal funding and advocacy, I want to create an ecosystem of continuing education. Some businesses and owners have talents, but it's some skills that we wasn't taught on financial literacy, P&L, how to market ourselves, how to set ourselves up for success, how to mitigate the risk so we can get that proper lending that we need. And when the banks say no, how do we provide other sources of investment like they do in Silicon Valley? How do we create these shark tanks of private sectors and businesses to come in? It takes a businessman to renegotiate the terms and agreements of what the prosperity plan for District 18 is. So my point is that working with small business to continue in their prosperity and their sustainability by offering free business services and programs because they have to survive. They're the backbone. They're the support of our community. And then if you focus on the small business success, then guess what? The success of their staff is successful. The success of the community is successful. Everyone thrives because it's connected. So I invite all small businesses to reach out. I would like to come and speak to your customers or to work with you right now or to give that advice and give that plan. But we need the small businesses on board. And with this big, beautiful lie that has just been passed, a lot of that, to understand that the tax burden and some of the benefits is going to hit our small businesses, but not only just that, the people that work for you. So if you care about your staff and you want your business to thrive, you have to tap into what's going on and have a seat at this table when we start rebuilding this economy.
The next question, unfortunately, I know I've experienced it personally. And I want to ask about, have you thought about, or do you have a plan for improving the safety or the crime rate in District 18?
Yes.
I know personally myself, the thing that gets me is that whatever happens to children and seniors always get me, really frustrate me. Everybody else in the middle, we'll make it work. But if it happens to a senior and a child, they're the most vulnerable. And something had been happening to seniors. I didn't even know it was happening to seniors regularly because I don't really watch television that much until it happened to me. So I went to a bank, took money out of the bank, I was going to take to another bank. I rarely do things like that, but I was starting a new relationship, so it was a considerable amount of money. And apparently, someone was following me. So they followed me from the bank. I went to get something to eat. I stepped out the car, changed my mind, and got back in the car and went to make a deposit. Came back to the same location, and they busted my windows out and was rummaging through the center console. They didn't care about the computer that was there, the iPad. Fortunately, I had taken my gun out and put it in the office, but they didn't do that, nothing. They went straight to the console. And what it showed on camera was they followed me there both times. And I wasn't inside more than a minute before they pulled up next to me, bust my window out. And this happened to me twice in the last 2 years. When I went to the bank, they say they canvassed that. I forgot, they call it jugging, or I forgot the term that's used. So what is your commitment to address the crime and protecting the seniors and children in the District 18?
Neighborhoods, especially in our culture, is a very sensitive matter because the law enforcement, the experiences we had dealing with law enforcement, we're not too trusting in that regard. And then our own communities are at risk, but we need the very entity we want to trust them to come in and fix the crime, but not cause collateral damage and undue harm. So as a representative and as a leader, I have the qualifications and skills and a resume to, let me be very clear. I was just impacted. I was on the wrong side of the law. And so the policy and the plan that I have put forth is a very bold one. And what it does is it takes a program within the Homeland Security Department and it federalizes and trains the Homeland Security to a culturally sensitive program where we identify the top highest crime areas in the country, the cities, and then we send in 500 officers for a period of 90 to 180 days. Not to police or to take over the streets, but these individuals are trained in mental health and diversion as a deterrent, and they work alongside a community. And so this task force also have counselors, it has negotiators, it has community leaders. And so what it does is also supplements the existing local police department, because a lot of them are underpaid, they're overstressed, or due to some type of budget cuts, they don't have the resources and tools, and they're just throwing rocks and bullets at a problem instead of fixing it. This is where the federal government could come in, not as a policing force, but as a mitigation leading force to bring community and policing together in a cohesive manner. And so what it does also, it brings the law enforcement side and community leaders together at the table to have these programs, but it also put up to 500 cops and supplement on the city on these streets. Now, not talking tough on crime, but to our young generation or whomever to crime individuals, do you want the feds on your streets? Do you want the police to come in? But at the end of the day, that's something that we may need. We need enforcement to come in, not to police, but to create a deterrent and to bring down crime by any means necessary, because our own people that look just like us. Our elders are being robbed, our cars are being broken into. But that fixes the problem, but it doesn't identify what's happening. And so you also bring along counselors and people that kind of can study it. And when the crime drops, that's when the task force will leave after that time. And so we're working across the board with community leaders to transform that message. But we need reinforcements from the federal government to bring in an outside policing agency that have more psychological resources and mental health and services to address crime, but also to protect our seniors in our community at the same time.
I understand what you're saying. I'm the son of a Marine, not just a Marine, a Vietnam Marine that was drafted at 19 years old. So my thought process is a little different. To me, that in my life and those I deal with, I always come back to a sense of ownership. My dad said, when you in that jungle, nobody's coming to save you. Say, son, in life, nobody's coming to save you. It's up to you first to start within yourself. He was talking about my personal development, but I feel like it's the same for our community. We are looking for something outside of our community to come in and regulate what's in our community. Why can't we have in those areas that are heavy? I wouldn't say, I don't like the word drug infested. I just don't like the way it sounds. But there's areas where you're more likely to get a controlled substance. Right. Get a controlled substance. You have cameras everywhere else. Why can those corner stores, those streets have cameras that will help with some of that trafficking? If you have these houses in these places that are guys, I mean, I grew up pretty sheltered, so I can't say, there's certain things I can't relate to. So I don't want to say crack house, but a house where it's used for certain substance abuse. If you know those are areas of there are issues, why can't there be some form of barriers put around them or cameras put on them to help provide visibility. And then, our community, and I'm just as guilty as anyone else, we have this mindset of don't tell. And that I've always struggled with that. So I was going back
Right.
to this, well, I'm
But
not going.
let me ask. Okay, so if you put the cameras, and this as an example, if you put the cameras on the house, and there's some drug activity going on, then what happens? Are you saying that's where like the law enforcement, the police know where to go?
I wouldn't say is identifying those that are participating in that activity there. I'm not saying that's a solution. I'm
Okay.
saying that trying something, because quite
Okay.
naturally, the first thing people are going to say, well, they'll just go to the next house. You can't have cameras on everything. It's just me thinking out loud.
I got you. Absolutely.
But we
You
have
know,
these everywhere.
absolutely.
We have these everywhere.
Right.
If
Right.
there's a way to report or have in that District 18, not in the app, but some way that people can inconspicuously
Right.
record and upload footage without it being attached to them. That means you see the footage. The police are not going to come ask you any questions.
Yeah.
They're not going to, they just going to take it for what it is
Yeah.
and try to utilize it as evidence. Because at some point we have to do something ourselves in our community, because
Yes.
externally it's not going to get resolved. Because my biggest thing with the military, those people coming in that capacity, is that you're going to get some great people there, but the issue is you can't change their core and you can't change their biases.
Yeah.
No matter how hard you try, I see it in the school systems with dealing with young boys, how even in our own culture, a young boy acting a certain way, he's this, he's that, he's disruptive, just a bad kid. But someone of another culture doing the same thing, they're just rambunctious.
Mhm.
They have high energy. You know
Right.
what I mean? So it's we have a
I
lot of
think
opportunities.
no, I think you're absolutely right. But I think we also need to look at several things and some issues with our local policing. The local policing is dependent on budgets from the city council. We just saw where almost all of the Harris County sheriff deputies was going to quit because they get erased like the Houston police officers. A lot of officers are overworked, undertired, these jobs, or they're not properly trained. And so in our plan, what it calls in is for some veterans or people in the services that's coming back from overseas or coming back to the community, is getting them filled in some of these roles and jobs, and getting some of our veterans filled in that wants to continue their fulfillment. And if you serve in some areas that's under police staff wise, then your college will be paid for your service. Those type of programs are innovative to get trained professionals to offer some relief to some of these cops that are overstressed, that because they're not trained properly. That's A. When we talk about the crack houses and the drug dealers, some of the issues that we have when elders or seniors or people in the community report, as you say, they're deemed a snitch. Now they're subject to retaliation because we have this warped mindset that telling to protect myself, I'm snitching. You damn right. Like I deserve to live. And so it's these having more community town halls and reporting mechanisms, and having, remember we used to have crime watchers back in the day, or we
Yeah,
had
I
the
remember
care
that.
program for the police, right? We don't
Yeah, I
have
remember
those things no more. And so that's why when I suggested in the plan Homeland Security, because the federal government have the funding to train psychologically a task
yes.
force that policing doesn't mean blunt force or shoot first. Policing is also a deterrent mechanism and an education course. So to have a culturally sensitive third party to come in and work with community, work with the elders, and create platforms and systems. Also work with the youth to give them things to do, like PAL, the police athletic league that doesn't really happen no more, and engage our youth. And to be on a deterrent to supplement. Instead of shoot it first, investigate next, we don't even want to shoot or investigate. We want to engage. And what that also, the biggest thing is a deterrent, because for those drug dealers, those people hanging on that corner, when you see Homeland Security on the back of a vest that's just walking down the block talking to the elder, you're going to think twice about it. You're going to run. You're going to leave. And so we just needed more of a deterrent that's not here to harm or take over, but to show a presence of support and work with the community to figure those things out. But our local governments don't have those resources. They're cutting them. They're cutting them left and right.
Well, I do know this. No matter what anyone implements, it's not going to be perfect. So
No,
there
no,
has to be some element of grace, because even when you said the military, the first thing I'm like, PTSD is real. I don't know if I want somebody fresh back from
listen.
the war
And
to
that jugging thing that you spoke of, it's getting more dangerous. It was a situation out in League City where a couple was followed all the way home, tied up and shot execution style for $500. That's crazy.
And see, the thing about it, I'm an advocate for being armed. I'm definitely an advocate for being armed, but certain people in our community, that's not an option for them anymore to bear arms in that way. I really appreciate, I really want to get you back on because there's more things we want to talk about.
Yes.
But I do want to say this to the community, and I say it with all honesty. I just care about people. I care about humans. And I truly believe it's going to take all of us, black, brown, green, purple, orange. But I do believe that people that live in specific areas, District 18, we have to stand up and lead the way. I don't believe that if we can't ask for help and support if we are not engaged ourselves. We should be looking to lead and having people come alongside us versus joining someone that's external to the community. And that's why I'm very grateful for you, Slater, in your commitment,
Sir,
your
thank
life
you.
experiences, and what you're able to contribute. And I absolutely, absolutely wish you well in this race.
Thank you.
Hoping for the best. I believe that politicians as a whole need more of the mindset, heart, character, stamina, determination, focus, overcoming adversity. I could go on and on and on, guys. We're gonna drop his bio in the description below, and just look at what he's walked through in his life to be successful. I know he has a situation he cares about seniors because, correct me if I'm wrong, your mother lives with you.
Yes.
You have to take care of your children.
Yes.
I mean, there's many things that you have to do. Commendable. A man had to go through the system. He's a responsible father and an amazing son. Contributes majorly to the community. So I would ask you, is there any final words? I don't like the word final. Is there anything that you would like to share into encourage my father until I see you later?
Absolutely. I just want to tell people just the truth. The times that we're living in is going to get a little worse before it gets better. And now is the time for us to come together as a community and hold on to the first three words of the Constitution of we the people. And what that means is us. From our forefathers from Juneteenth and March from Galveston up to communities, they didn't have nothing. They didn't have a government. They didn't have no support, no subsidies, or nothing. They had talent, their faith, and their will. Fortunately, that's what we have to depend on right now. But it will come a day where things will get better, right? It's just like the Great Flood. We are the genesis of transformation. We're going through a transformative time where we get to rebuild. We have opportunities to rebuild education and our likeness that benefits us. We have an opportunity to rebuild healthcare once and for all. But we have to fight, stand true together, build as a community, and really go on values over views. Don't get separated. Let's come together on common ground. And so no matter who you vote for, we're not going nowhere come November 4th. We're here to stay because leadership have to reign supreme for our people. And I thank you for your time. And I appreciate you, Mr. Q, for having me on, Quinn. And thank you so much.
God bless you and you have an amazing day. And
You
once
too.
again, guys, stay tuned, pay attention to the information in the description. And let's at least do this. I ask at least that you hear Mr. Slater out, seek him out, have a conversation, follow him on social, and just get to know the man. That's all we ask. Get to know the man. And you make your decision based upon you getting to know the man versus other candidates. God bless you and have an amazing day.
Thank you.